speaking for the motion, and team number 4, represented by Vijay Chavla, Guneet Kaur, Srinivas Prahlad, and Anurag Arya, speaking against the motion.
I'd like to ask everyone a question. What gives me the ability to stand before you all and speak? It is education itself. It's very correctly said that education is not preparing someone for life, it is life itself. If we're not educated enough, we would not have the capability to express our views across people in any way possible. No doubt, food, shelter, and clothing is the basic necessity and it is the basic right of every human being. But it is not just about surviving, it is about becoming a better person, a better human being, to make the nation help the nation on your behalf and become a better human being for the development of a society, of a family, and of the nation as a whole. Education is not just developing oneself into a specific domain of knowledge, but you are transforming your thought process and helping people on a wider view. If I talk about personality contributing to one's best development of a nation as a flowering tree, then the very seed that makes that tree grow is one's thought process. The outlook of an educated person can never be at par to an uneducated one. An educated person will always work towards the welfare, the better being and the welfare of a society, of a person, of the people who is in the ambit of that person's living. And it is always aimed at being something positive.
Ma'am, you said that you are here speaking in front of everybody. It's only because of education. But I would like to say that not everybody from your school got that opportunity. Only you four are here. So it depends on the attitude and how you take the opportunity. It's not about education. So can you please answer that?
So, if I wouldn't have been in the educational institution, I wouldn't have been able to get an opportunity. The very fact that I am getting an opportunity is because I am educated. If I'm not in that educational institution, I won't get this opportunity. Education plays a very pivotal role in developing the culture, the ethos, and the values of the society. The nation as a whole, I agree, it is formed because of, as you said, attitudes and traditions and the values a person holds. But the ability that you're educated enough, you're literate enough to express your opinions and make a difference in a country, or even if you're not considering a country's aspect. As you have that knowledge, you have that ability, you have that capacity and the capability to perform. Without education, I doubt anybody here could do that. And if we analyze the concept of free and compulsory education, that is very important today. It is only because of the efforts the people, the government, the organizations are making, and it is for the betterment of everyone. The basic meaning of free education is that the economic sections of the society, of a country, who are not able to afford education, they are provided with schemes so that even the first generation learners can go and make a difference. There is always a start to something. There's always a first. Nothing always continues as a legacy, and there's always someone who will be the first to start something. So if you look at the economically weaker sections, this is a very, very good opportunity for them to actually step up and start learning something. And when it's about free, people often say that anything which is free is taken for granted. But I would rather say that sometimes things are so precious that they're priceless. You cannot put a price on it. And I would conclude by now allowing my fellow mate to elaborate on us being for the motion and for free and compulsory education being provided in the world. And we very much stand for the motion because it is a legislation and it is an act which is made to improve the living conditions, to improve the livelihood of the people across the world. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say that we're not against Vijay. First of all, I would like to say that we're not against education or literacy. What we're against is free and compulsory school education. Now, when you use the word compulsory, it is an imposition, not a choice. And a choice is our decision. An imposition is someone else's decision forced upon you. Now, we heard the opposition speak a lot about how the economically weaker sections are going to get a chance. Well, I would like to say that they get a chance in class. First of all, it is only compulsory right now till class 8. And after that, the dropout rates are so high that there is so much of unskilled labor that there are no jobs for them. So what you're doing is, you're giving them just a piece of the bread and saying, hey, make half the bread on your own. How is that possible? After that, now she also talked about the thought process. Now, is the thought process always good? We have seen so many IAS, IFS officers who are corrupt. Now, obviously, they're not working for the welfare by doing corruption. Then, you talk about how being educated, we will work for our country. Well, ma'am, have you ever heard of the topic brain drain? Yes.
Sir, you just talked about our thought process, but I just want you to know that implementation of something such as free and compulsory education might have some problems, but it is up to people like you and me to be sensitive towards such people and understand each other. So don't you think that you've been rather insensitive by full-heartedly enjoying such benefits which other people cannot enjoy?
Well, ma'am, me enjoying a benefit that I have is different than me being not sensitive. I can still be sensitive by saying, now, free and compulsory education. I'm not saying that, hey, they should not get education. They should get education. But obviously, having free education does not mean that they'll actually be able to use it. Now, after they get the education, who will take the jobs? Also, how are you going to actually give them education? Now, the economical feasibility of providing free education is not there. We're reeling under account deficits, our crops are failing, and we would rather protect what we eat than what we're thinking right now. That is the whole point. Roti, kapda and makan are basic needs, and until and unless we can actually fulfill them, how do you expect us to go further? We're not being able to fulfill them. Also, there is a supply and demand equation here. Now, obviously, now there is a person who fulfills his needs. Only then is he able to go to schools. You can take a
Give an opportunity to do what we want in a way that promotes our interests and capabilities. Also, it is the best step taken, according to me, to provide free and compulsory education. But if the system is not modified, the changes are not introduced according to the developments of the society, then it becomes a bit chaotic. Also, under the system of free and compulsory education, student has to study what the states want them to teach. And in an event where parents oppose the values of the state, then ultimately the interest of the states will prevail, and in case they will oppose, the parents will oppose what their children are being taught. Yeah, sorry.
So you are saying that you are opposing free and compulsory education. Well, tell me, a child who is 4 or 5 years old, who is not willing to attend the school, he doesn't know what is good or what is bad for him. So in that situation, should we not provide him with education because he does not want to be educated?
See, in our country, we are providing education to a child till the age of 14 or 16 years. And then what after that? We are not giving them the opportunity. Sorry, cross-questioning is not allowed.
PY.
Okay.
In 9th class, we are given a choice between 3 subjects, I say, a foreign language or Hindi. In 11th class, we have a choice between sciences stream or commerce. After passing 12th class, we have a lot of choices available to us. How would you comment on this? We are providing children choices at the right age.
That's not for everybody. The students studying in government school don't have that opportunity. They decline. I don't. Can I continue? Please, yeah, thank you.
You can decline a POI.
Thank you. No facility is free, whether it is education or anything. Some cost is involved in it. So, in countries of a continent like Africa, there is compulsory and free education, but there is involvement of some kind of informal fees like uniform, stationery, and if a
student is not able to afford that, then he is prone to regular punishments in school, and therefore the students is called truant and whatnot. So I would like to conclude by saying that rather than delivering a mixed message that we live in a free land, we should allow them to study what they want, and they should not be compulsory education as such in a democratic country, because we are living in a democratic country.
Continuing with the arguments proposed by my first speaker, I totally agree that education should be made free and compulsory as far as the school level is concerned. Because the first speaker said very rightly that the school education inculcates, it inculcates equality, self-discipline, punctuality, and it grows, overall, it grooms the person, it grooms the overall personality of the person. Secondly, I would basically, argue on the economical aspects of the point. So, I tell you one more thing, that people think that who is government to educate people when it can't provide jobs. First of all, this is the basic argument, in front of the house. I feel that education is...
Please wait 15 seconds.
I feel that education is a way to increase jobs also. You have more and more people going into schools. You have more and more people equipped with skills, and more people studying, subjects like economics and business studies. You have more and more people capable of becoming entrepreneurs. And if the government provides flexible laws, you have more and more startups. More and more startups, more and more workforce, more and more workforce, more would be the hands, and more would be the employment.
Sir, you just mentioned that equality is instilled in schools. But sir, is it ensured?
Sir, it's, ma'am, yeah, it is ensured. If you go to the teacher, there is like, he's discriminating me. That is definitely there, ma'am. I feel that. In school you have same uniform, you like everyone has to come in good schools, like in...
Point of information. Equality does not get inside you if you go to a good school or a bad school.
No, I am like, the definition of good school is not a public, you feel like public or government school or like something or the other. It's just like, I feel that it's just a thing that if faculty over there, if teachers over there are concerned towards their job, they would definitely ensure that equality would be there. You can always go to the teacher that he is doing. We also have counselors in our school, ma'am. Our school has a counselor. So, education, I believe, is a one-time investment because it also cuts down on other expenses of the government now. It cuts down on the other expenses. First of all, it reduces the criminal rate. Secondly, population control, I need not explain it. Third is the health. More and more educated people you have, more and more population would be health conscious, more people would be health conscious, less would be the diseases, less would be the diseases, so less would be the health expenditure of the government. That is the basic framework. Thirdly, internal security. Many people, many teams before me, they took up examples of Kerala and Haryana. They told it very well, probably better than me. People at the back, I also feel that in Haryana, every fortnight or so you see strikes and dharnas getting violent. We need to send troops over there to pacify all that menace over there. We need to send troops. That also requires fund of the government. If we have educated population, that would cut out on that cost also. Thirdly, people at the back, when I was listening to the speaker before me, they were quoting Sabrimala incident that took place in Kerala when females were denied access into a temple. I say that in Kerala, you have one Sabrimala temple when females are not allowed to get in the temples. In Haryana, look at the rural areas. Majority of the girls are not even allowed to get outside their homes even. Thirdly, ma'am, I totally believe that the economic aspect, the funding aspect is the heart of the issue. I totally believe it. So I feel that government, rather than being a body that just monitors and manages the infrastructural development of the school, should be a body that should be a part of the funder, a facilitator, and a moderator of the education, much in the same way as it controls the aided schools, ma'am, as it controls the aided schools. Thirdly, I think that people have, many people have put in theories like paid and non-paid, and
Last
people.
30 seconds.
I'm just wrapping up. We should have block development committees that should monitor the salaries of teacher according to the results, and that would give incentivize more and more result-oriented studies. Finally, at the end, I would like to say, what is taught in the schools today is the strategy of the government tomorrow. Empty schools means no strategies.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to ask the proposition team a question. That if education is proving to be improving the economic situation, is it feasible at all? Is it improving the food, shelter and clothing provisions to the poor at all? Education should not be free of cost. Ladies and gentlemen, we are far-fetched and we are on the brink of a Herculean task. Now, I firmly believe that the only way the education should be provided to the people of all sections of the society is to include all the sections together. Now, that would only mean that we are preventing misuse of the free services that are being provided to the students. Second thing, if we are talking about compulsion here, education is a pursuit of knowledge with a voluntary spirit. You can make a starving person eat something, but you cannot force the person to go and eat it again. Now, compulsion in the case of education is bound to fail. Consider the rebellious imbeciles who are not even treated badly. Sure.
When you are talking about clothes and all that, there are government schools which are residential. A dormitory, they have dormitory size of this heavy room, which can have 50 people sleeping there. They are providing them clothes, food. Residential schools by the government they are providing food at night and afternoon providing areas to sleep.
So, providing all these facilities in totality does not make this argument very clear. Because we are talking about school education. We're not talking about all the time we are providing them with free food, shelter and clothing. We're just providing them with the free education. And that is what I don't support personally.
You are
denied. Okay, so in our country, where there is a post-conflict situation, all the people are displaced, would you prefer survival over education, or would you prefer education over survival? I ask you my house the question. Now, again, outlining the points that the previous opposition member just stated, that no facility is free. There is always some informal fee involved in countries of continents like Africa or in countries such as Nigeria. It is a democratic country. However, the free educational services that are being provided there are not always free. Some informal fees is always included. How can we then contribute? How can we then say that free education is provided to everybody? Private schools should be allowed to proliferate. In India, private schools have 25% of reservation for economically weaker sections. But the money that is being given to those sections, the money that is being used up by those schools is actually given by the general classes. That is more than 75%. So is it actually a free and compulsory education? Thank you.
We now call upon the third speaker from the proposition. Good morning to one and all. Myself, Shawnee Jain.
So, sir, well, that could have been me if I hadn't attended my primary school education, which was compulsory for me. I'm very sorry for the pause which I took, but it was very important for me to prove my point. Now further on, moving with the opposition, I'm quite assured that opposition has misconceptualized the theme of today's debate. They have not got the real meaning of education. The main purpose of education is to strengthen your mind so that you can face with the challenges with more confidence. And when schooling is attached to education, it means learning how to face the challenges in life, what you learn in school.
Sir, point of information.
I guess 1 minute is not over yet. I just believe studying in schools is not just about learning the facts on blackboards by teachers, but learning the way of living life by observing the world around us. In the present era, hardly everyone, on the advent of economic life, everyone is busy with work. No one hardly gives any time to their children. At those points, school proves beneficial. Schools are the place where we meet our friends, where there are teachers, where there are people from whom we can learn. Even your best friend could be a very good teacher, provided you choose your best friends wisely. A lot has been talked about
So,
education.
point of information.
Yeah, take it.
Sir, the speaker just mentioned that education should be voluntary. It should not be compulsory. It should come from within. It's
I
not
guess
just a
I have already answered your question when I raised my POI, so neglected. A lot has been talked about education being not just education but quality education. And my worthy opponents keep on raising the issue of quality of education. Well, I would just suggest my opponents to get their facts straight and just I want to mention that there are Rajkiya Pratibha Vidyalayas which have achieved milestones in education, and these are government schools. They have special cares for known as Bahal Kandrals, which train students for professional courses such as engineering, medical, hotel management, and so on.
Diana, So, as my fellow teammate concluded or said that education is the basic necessity, the fundamental right that one should enjoy. And here, our fellow opposition, the fellow opposition just said that roti, kapda, makan is the basic necessity that one should have. But I would like to ask ask every one of you a question. That what after roti, kapda and makan? What after? Because they are the basic necessities, you cannot ignore the fundamental right or the importance of education and what education does to a society. Education is what actually makes a society progress, a nation progress and develop. So, if only roti, kapda, and makan or clothing is just the basic, attribute of the society, how will the society progress? So now, further moving on, I would like to present 3 views that why is education important and why it should be made free and compulsory and accessible to each and every section and each and every person of the society. Let's first see the sociological view, how education helps in performing or a better society or making a better society is it shapes an individual's character and makes the person more responsible and effective citizen, wherein the citizen will actually contribute in the development of society because he's an asset to the society, asset to the nation. Now, if I take the example of Kerala, a small southwestern state of India, right? But it was declared as a fully literate state decades back. And what was the impact of it? Impact of it is that education has actually helped in improving the infant mortality rate and gender discriminations. There is not much of caste-ridden society, not much of violence based on religion, caste, creed, things like that. Actually, the society there has progressed just because of education. And if we compare Kerala with Haryana, another state of India again, where the education rate is somewhere, around, average is somewhere around 67.9, yes?
You said that Kerala is one of the best states, but it also has one of the biggest account deficits of the states of our country. Please comment.
See, you just said it has basic deficit, but it is not because the population is educated, it is just because the resources there and the government which was there before the Congress government was not actually progressive. They actually stopped the opportunities for development, and thus we have deficits, not because people that are educated. So we should realize the points and facts. So now moving on, I would go on the economical aspect. Now the economical aspect being, how can an illiterate person contribute well to a society? Yes, we are dependent on agriculture, we are dependent on things like that, primary activities. But what contributes in the larger scale development of a society and a nation is the high rate of tertiary sector, the services that are provided, the urbanization, and that all comes from technological advancement and education. If the populace is educated, then only it can help in further development. And if we look upon latest statistics, education has actually helped us to grow. How? Because today developed countries are looking out for underdeveloped and developing countries to invest their money on, because we live in a global trade, global marketing center, a globalized world today. And people like US, countries like US and UK actually invest their money on countries which has a skilled and educated populace, because investing on such people is actually profitable. That is what they look on. And India being one of the fastest growing economies, we should understand, is only because of good amount of education that we provide right now. But it should be better by making it free and compulsory, so that everyone has access to it. We can find better skilled and educated force, so that it makes India a developed nation. Now, I would actually conclude by saying it has political, sociological and economical benefits, but it has personal benefits as well. It makes you a responsible and a better person who can actually contribute to the society in many ways. Actually, evolutions, transformations and reforms take place just because of education. If you think of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and many people ahead, just because of education and their broad mentality that they got from education.
What's your name?
Guneet Kaur, I'm sorry. Okay, so the proposition is constantly saying that education is important and education is making India the fastest growing economy. But we are not here to oppose education. We are here to oppose free and compulsory education. There are two words attached to that. So learning can also be through experiences of life. It's not just formal training. We have many examples in front of us. And like my opponent said, that resources are less in Kerala. So why should education be free there when the resources are less? First, the basic needs should be fulfilled, and then we should concentrate on education. Then, literacy and education are two completely different things. Literacy is just the ability to read and write. I'll take that later.
Please wait for 15 seconds.
Literacy is just the ability to read and write, whereas the education is the ability to absorb things, justify them, and convert them into ideas. So please don't compare literacy with education. Now I would come to my main arguments. When you stretch something beyond its scope, dilution is inevitable. Free and compulsory education is a utopian idea for me and for my team, and in reality, it will only compromise with the quality of education. There are a lot of problems with the government schools. I would like to discuss some of them. There was a survey in 2007 in rural India, and 16,000 villages ensured that while, I'll take that later, let me complete. That while class enrollments were high, the quality of education was very less. Children could not read, write, or even do basic maths. Then what do you expect out of it?
Point of information.
Okay, take it.
For people who are poor, for example, free and compulsory education is just like part of a vicious cycle which comprises of healthcare, shelter, and these all aspects are interdependent on each other. So how could you possibly remove an important aspect?
Education is not connected with healthcare in any way, I guess. Okay.
Sorry, no cross questioning.
Yeah, it's
Another one.
It is mentioned in the Article 21A that along with the education, people will be provided with fooding and, if necessary, shelter. So how is it still not working for you? If
You're talking about free health
free and
care.
compulsory education, the children going in schools to attain free and compulsory education are given food, they are given shelter if required. So the facilities are there, still why is there a problem with it?
But do you know about the amount of corruption in the government schools? You talk about midday meal. You say that food is given to them. Okay, that's a main attraction for government schools. But there are a lot of problems like poorly maintained buildings, dilapidated classrooms, ill-equipped libraries, laboratories, lack of sanitation, and that's the main reason because of which children drop out of the government school. And now the proposition would say that public schools are an option, but it will only raise the cost and it will not complete privatization of education, but will not answer the question. It will only drive the cost of education. Neither will it solve the problem of schools in rural areas. Next, coming to the point of supply and demand. Unless sustainability of housing and shelter is achieved, how can parents expect to send their children to schools? And this is where the economics of free schools fail. If you keep on making free schools and take no fees from the students, you're basically giving out an educational dole. Now this educational dole will return the cost on the exchequers in billions. These billions could be used in farming, agriculture, or for basic subsistence efforts under something like, rather than something like education, which is not necessary, which will not necessarily even give back the results to you. You are not sure that everybody will give you back those results. Education is one of the keys of success, but if I don't want to use it, it's entirely my wish. I cannot be forced to do so. A lot of great people never went to school. To illustrate my point, here I have a list. 6 of the presidents of USA did not finish their school. The famous inventor
Last 30 seconds.
Buckminster Fuller never finished school, but he invented an allotrope of carbon. The very famous poet Robert Frost did the same, but still he beautifully described the dilemmas in life in his poem, The Road Not Taken. So education and success not always go hand in hand. Education is an opportunity and not a force. Learning is healthy, students should be encouraged, but their main interest gets interrupted in that process. If a student is not
Excuse
interested...
me.
St. Thomas's, Diana.
You're the first.
St. Thomas's. I would like to sum up the arguments made by the previous speakers by saying that providing free and compulsory education is a must and hence is a basic fundamental right. It is essential for the exercise of all human rights. It promotes individual freedom and empowerment and yields important development benefits. A well-educated man is a more dependable worker, a better citizen, a center of wholesome influence, pride to his community and honor to his country. A nation is great only in proportion to its advancement in education. From every angle, whether it is political, sociological, economical, the benefits gained from free and compulsory education are unmeasurable. An educated populace can be used as a human resource. One knows and is made aware of his own rights and duties that they have to follow and contribute to the society. Every nation's progress, free and compulsory education, free and compulsory education is a key to every...
You said that an educated population or an educated person is a human resource. But a carpenter who has not acquired any formal education, still he does some work which is beneficial for all of us. Isn't he a human resource? He has some skills and talent.
I'm not denying the people who are, I'm just saying that working population is also a human resource which contributes largely to the economy of the society. It is a demographic dividend that provides the development of a country. Free and compulsory education is the key to every nation's progress. If it has problems with its implementation, it needs to be rectified. As a matter of fact, every concept has loopholes. No concept is absolutely hurdle-free,
And every change is painful, but what we get at the end is fruitful. But as a concept of free and compulsory education, we cannot deny its importance. We are well aware of the...
Well, you talking about how education is one of the major factors of advancing economies and advancing countries, but Rwanda has a very low literacy rate, and it still has 64% female attendance in its parliament. Please comment.
Denied. I'll answer your question in my speech. So, we are well aware of the financial burden, for example, the infrastructure, the financial requirements, the workforce required. But that is not the reason we shouldn't have free and compulsory education. Instead, we should be willing to bear the burden. If you want to curb on poverty, crime, malpractices, everyone should be educated. If you want to remove social evils, education is the answer. I, being a girl, strongly believe that gender equality will obviously will increase only through education. I end with a quote by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Let us not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless while facing them. Thank you.
My name is Srinivas and I am the opposition leader. The proposition's leader asked a question stating that about education for everybody and saying that I am here because I am educated. Well, you are here because you are educated better than the people in the public, in the government schools, and you are here because it's your choice to come here. Nobody has forced you to do that. No school teacher is like, Beta, go to the debate, I'm telling you that's why you need to go. You're like, ma'am, I need to go, that's why I'm going. So, you said that educated people are better human beings. Well, uneducated people can also commit crimes. Uneducated people are making scandals. Uneducated people are also doing that. Okay. And so, you said forced compulsory education. You talked about caste and backward classes. You talked about caste and backward classes. Reservation is there, and because of reservation, because of reservation, people of the scheduled caste, I take that data, people of scheduled caste who are very rich are able to send their children to schools and not
Point of information.
I take that.
You just said that uneducated people can also commit crimes, right? So as we are discussing, for us, basic education is the most important thing you can have. So don't you think that denying free and compulsory education can increase crime rates in a country and also increase chances of child labor in that country?
You didn't properly hear what I said. I said uneducated people can also commit crime. So do educated people. Many of our ministers are educated, they are still corrupt. Many of our police officers are educated, they are still corrupt. Even Donald Trump, he is educated, but he's still in... I don't know what to say about him. I'm not taking that question. You said that education is a necessity. Well, what if the child is going to the school with an empty stomach and can't even walk to the school? How am I able to... and is bearing the information? No, I'll take that later. Is bearing the weight of the books on his bag and is literally crawling to the school. How is he able to do that? You talked about Kerala. You compared Kerala with Haryana. Haryana, my teammate also said that Kerala has a low economic. I don't take that. It is a deficient economy. Haryana, you said, as you said, Haryana is not that much educated, but look at the agriculture. The food in your stomach is mostly because of Haryana. And you saying that Haryana is not educated is like you saying that I don't want food from Haryana.
Point of information.
No, I'll not take that, sorry. Like my opinion. Standing here, living in the biggest democracy of the world, and being in a public school, you are stating that education should be compulsory, education should be free. Well, guess what? We are not being insensitive, we are being realistic. By giving free education, we are draining the economy and we are not doing any good to the people. we're just giving them like, beta go study till 8th class and come back. वैसे तो ये काम तो करने ही घर आके. Sorry, no more points of rejection. Well, this is another point. Children who are forced to go to public schools, even in your school, there are children who disturb the class and disrupt the classes and vandalize the school property. Then they snatch opportunity from others. Well, it is Ara's fault. That's why I'm saying the point. So this is the main reason why if you're forced to somebody, if somebody has to choose it, like my grandfather said, which means that if you have to take something, take the opportunity with both hands. Nobody has to force it to you. So that's why I'm gonna rest my case here. Thank you.
Sum up what my teammates' stand is. So we all have talked about statistics and facts, economy and all. Let me ask you one basic question. A person who spells Tuesday as Tiesday, can he make the nation a better place? I'm pretty sure that all of you, you're very worthy and educated people. You watch the news. I saw a report where they were showing the state of government schools, and what was shown was that the teacher, please note, the teacher of a government school was asked, what is the first month of the year? He said February. He said February. A person who says that the first month of the year is February, can he develop the nation? Can he make the nation a better place? Moreover, the main argument against free and compulsory, for the free and compulsory education is that USA is skilled and educated, and there the primary school is free. Why do they want Indian CEOs then? Why do they want Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, and Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai were they educated in government schools? You speaking about the benefits of education, giving one speaker gave the example of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Did he avail the free and compulsory education provided by government schools today? Was he part of that? Moreover, what gives me the ability to stand and speak here? I study in a private school, but if in a government school the education is substandard, we cannot stand here and debate as nicely as we do right now. Substandard and forced education is not what should come after Roti Kapra and Makan. And talking about Kerala, caste system is still a bit of a problem. So, and talking about free education, one last point about the economy I would make, that if we stretch a rubber band too much, it will break, and such a rubber band economy cannot sustain a nation. Also,
last 30 seconds.
So the last thing I'll say is that we're not against we're not against expanding education and including more and more people in that. We're against diluting it to such an extent that it defeats its very purpose. Thank you.
Replying to a statement made by the opposition, the guy just said that how can you expect a child to go to a school with empty stomach? Sir, I just want to remind you one thing, that there are many schools in rural areas who provide midday meals to students. Coming on the point of schooling, we have private schooling and we have public schooling, right? So private schooling is a profit organization while public schools are non-profit organizations. So the quality of education varies in both. But that is not the reason why we shouldn't be coming towards or implementing free and compulsory education. If we want to be successful as a country, we have to bear that burden. In a country like India, where laws are made for betterment of people, and country which is half stricken with poverty, free and compulsory education is ethical. Benjamin Franklin said, and I quote, that an investment in knowledge always pays the best result. So, in my opinion, denying such investment cannot lead to a country's success. It is, I don't think that any one of us here would like our country to be, to not grow economically or socially. And so a question rises in my mind that would you not give basic education to citizens of your country and still expect them to work for you? Please, people, understand, education is a right, not a privilege. So by giving free and compulsory education, we are not providing people with privilege. We are giving them their basic fundamental right, which is eventually important for the country's development. At the end, I would like to say that not everything that is free is worthless. So, as a law exists in our constitution on free and compulsory education, I hereby stand in full support that free and compulsory education should be provided to every child of this country.